What's down, fam? It's your boy Slim South 504. Make sure y'all subscribe to Hooded Jube. You heard me? Let's go.
What's up, folks? This is Shano Barnes, and you already know this shit more than a game, man. You also already know that it's NOLA versus all y'all. And you also know that it ain't YouTube if you ain't subscribed to my dog, Hooded Jube. Come on, man, what are you waiting for? You already know. It's still Who Dat.
What up, family? This your boy DeRight, repping that Who Dat Nation all the way here in Florida. If it's you too, you gotta subscribe to my boy Hoodie Jube.
What's up, world? It's your boy Carlos Clayton. I'm the host of Uneducated Sports Talk. Subscribe to the big homie Hoodie Jube for everything New Orleans Saints. Who Dat?
Hey, this your boy, Dog 17, the host of the Keeping It Real Who Dat Sports Podcast. Just want to remind y'all, go ahead and subscribe to my homie Hoodie Jube's channel. And like always, love.
What's good, guys? My name is Zach.
And I'm Nonfiction, and we are Real Fan Sports.
And you need to stop what you're doing right now. Hit that subscribe button and subscribe to your boy, Hoodie Jube.
Hoodie Jube.
What's good, Who Dat Nation? Man, it's your boy Hoodie, and we back with another live podcast. And you already know, man, by this thumbnail, we are going to be discussing the running back room, and we're going to be discussing if we should add anybody from free agency or not. So make sure you sit back, relax, grab you a drink, grab you a snack, and let's talk some Saints football, baby.
Yeah. We in the zone, watch the Saints rise. Kellen Moore's game plan, yes, no surprise. Rashid Shaheed flying, catching that light. Chris Lawrence magic, making defenses right. Hoodie Jube on the screen, we hype it up. Saints Nation stand tall, never gonna give up. Saints on a mission, watch them take flight. In the dome under lights, it's a beautiful night. Championship dreams, we're ready to score. With Hoodie Jube and the crew, we're wanting more. Demario Davis bringing a tackle heat. Cam Jordan rushing, can't escape defeat. Tyrann Mathieu lurking, he's a defensive ghost. New era in New Orleans, yeah, we want it the most. Touchdowns on the board, the crowd goes wild. Feel the energy surge like a hyped up child. Saints on a mission, watch them take flight. In the dome under lights, it's a beautiful night. Championship dreams, we're ready to score. With Hoodie Jube and the crew, we're wanting more. So here's to the Saints, let the victory blow. Red Coast, we pop with the San Diego.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Hoodie Jube, and we are back with another live podcast. And for those who don't know, y'all will know there's no YouTube without your boy Hoodie Jube, y'all. How is everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's having a great night, but let me give a shout out to everybody that's in here. We got Sam in the building. What up, Samuel? We got Tim in the building. Who dat to you? We also got Daniel in the building as well. Who dat to you? We got Jerry the freaking G. Who dat to you? We got Brooke in the building. What up, Brooke? We got Hurricane Mike in the building as well. Who dat to you? We got my guy J Dog. What up, J Dog? Shout out to everybody that is watching, whether you're watching from Facebook, whether you're watching from YouTube, whether you're watching from X/Twitter, whatever you want to call that app over there. Hopefully everybody's enjoying it. I see OG Stoner as well, so shout out to everybody that's joining on in. But before we get started, give me 1 second just because I totally forget that every time I go live on Facebook, I got to edit the post to make it public to where people can actually see it, because for some reason it only does it under me seeing it. So, okay, cool. Now I got it out there for everybody can see it now. But yes, before we get into the discussion and start talking about the running back room, I have a special guest, okay? Y'all might not know this person. Okay? No, I'm just joking. Y'all should know this person already. He comes on almost every damn show we have because he says, I just can't resist. I gotta have, so much. I had so much fun every time I get on, Hoodie. I gotta come back on if you invite me. So I invited him to come back on. You already know it. He is, my part-time co-host for right now until I lose him to somebody else, But for right now, he's my part-time co-host. Like I tell everybody, y'all might know him off of the X, a.k.a. Twitter, by his name, Showman. Or you just might know him because he's just a damn sports reporter out there by the name of Logan.
What's going on, Hoodie? Thanks for having me back.
No problem.
I don't think I deserve that long intro, but I'll take it.
Hey, man, everybody that comes on the show deserves one, man. That's how I feel. But let me ask you this. Do you think the Saints should add a running back? Because I know a lot of people want to see some, new heads in here. We got some pretty good running backs out there that we can discuss shortly. But what do you think in your mind? Do you think the Saints running back room is good? Leave it there, just go after a receiver instead, or go after both?
So the crazy thing is, I had a little bit of a discussion on Twitter with the Saints some of the people in the Saints Twitter fan base, and caught some flack from a little bit of them. I don't think we should add any running backs to this room because I think who we have is good enough. But the two that are on the outside looking in my personal opinion, is Kendre Miller and Jordan Mims. Because I don't think you need to add any more, because if you get rid of, say hypothetically the Saints keep 4 running backs, because they usually keep 4 around that number, and if you ask me my personal prediction, I think the running back room should be Alvin Kamara, Devin Neal, who is your recently drafted running back out of Kansas, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who Louisiana, and a very good running back when he was with the Chiefs when he was healthy and not dealing with his PTSD issues, and Marcus Yarns, the undrafted free agent, who can just fly like no other from Delaware. And after that, I think Kendre Miller and Jordan Mims are on the outside looking in. So, for me personally, I don't think we should add another running back. I think we should roll with who we have, because I think it's actually a pretty decent room on paper. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Tim Dunn said Velvis Jones Jr. ? Yeah, he is on the team as well, and I think they reposition him to running backs as well. But we can always say, like, we got Edwards-Helaire, you got Velvis Jones Jr., you have Kendre Miller, you got Alvin Kamara, you got Devin Neal. But this is the one thing that I would say. Alvin Kamara, you already know you're going to have him for most of the season every year. He's usually not hurt. But if he does to go down, the question is, who do you have backing him up? Well, we got Kendre Miller, who's a veteran now, for 2 or 3 years now. You got Edwards-Helaire, who's basically a veteran as well, been in the league for a little while. And then you got some, people like Devin Neal, who's coming in. You got kind of a veteran in Jordan Mims. Velvis Jones, I guess you can consider him a veteran now because he's been in the league for a few years, but, they're not proven, so what I'm saying? So if Alvin was to go down, the question is, can you trust a Kendre Miller who can't stay healthy? Will Devin Neal be that guy in the NFL? We already seen some of his, tapes and looks like he can be a legit guy, but the question is, will he prove himself? The other question is, can Clyde, get back to the LSU days? Because it seems like ever since his injuries, he's piling up, and it seems like he can't get back to the Clyde that that the Chiefs drafted, So it just kind of depends on what we're going to do. So, like, me, personally, if there's somebody out there that's good enough to where, we can take a bite on it and he's not going to cost too much, I wouldn't mind adding that veteran guy in the room that's, good enough. And I do have a few people we can talk about right here. And the first guy, he's an older guy, veteran, almost hitting that 30. But for every team that I watch this guy play on, it just seems like he's always, one of their second best running back, unless he's on a team with like a star, he's usually the second guy that's good. And I like the way he runs, how he's physical. And like I said, if this man would just get more touches in the league, I think he'll do a lot better. And that is this guy right here, D'Onta Foreman. About to be 30, has 623 touches, 2,558 yards, and 14 TDs, He's somebody that I wouldn't mind adding, to the Saints roster, just because the question is, on this team that we have, you think of a Kendre Miller, very elusiveness, right? Alvin Kamara, very elusive, can juke you and all that. Devin Neal, very elusiveness. But the question is, who's our power back? Who's going to run people over? Who's going to get them hard, tough yards, those 1 or 2 yards when you need them? I think D'Onta Foreman would fit in here pretty well. What do you think, Logan? Do you think we need to add a power back? Because it seems like we got a lot of elusiveness guys, but no power guys.
So, I think Devin Neal can be a power back because I think he is more both a power back and a finesse back. He's kind of that combo. And I know earlier after the draft, I compared him to Jamal Charles, but doing more research, and going back and evaluating tape as I do, to see if I can correct myself if I made any mistakes or missed anything, I still will stay with the Jamal Charles comp, but for his shiftiness, but I think he has a little bit of Mark Ingram to his game. I mean, he's not as fast as Jamal Charles, but his shiftiness is Jamal Charles-like, and his maneuvering throughout the A-gaps and throughout the hole is very Mark Ingramish. So I am just very much of the belief that I really don't think we should sign a running back and just roll with the group that we have. I mean, when I look at some of the running backs that Kellen Moore has had outside of Saquon Barkley, I mean, I don't really want to count Saquon because he's one of a kind. Saquon's one of a kind. He's not a power orphanage. He's just Saquon Barkley. So, I mean, he's had Zeke. He's had. I can't even remember who he had with the Chargers. I mean, he might have had Gus Edwards with the Chargers. I have to go back and look, but I wouldn't mind Foreman, but. You think about this, the Saints only have $8.5 million left in cap space, right? And after you sign your 9 draft picks and maybe you sign 1 or 2 undrafted free agent. Yes, he had Austin Eckler. Thank you, Hurricane Mike. He had Austin Eckler. But, I mean, after you sign all your draft picks and maybe a few other players out there, I don't see how you can afford someone like a D'Onta Foreman. Younger crew, and then if you want to add that veteran back later on, if something should happen, hopefully it doesn't, then yeah, go for it. But for me personally, I would just roll with the young group that we have and maybe put Kendre Miller on the practice squad because I think I'm off the Kendre Miller bandwagon at this point.
Okay. Well, other player, he's a lot younger than Foreman by about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the next player that I think we could possibly add because he is a very good running back as well. When he's on the other teams, which I'm surprised a lot of teams passed up on him, and hasn't even signed the brother yet. And that is this guy right here, Cam Akers, age 25, 500 attempts, 2,025 yards, and 13 TDs. So this man had about 100 and something less touches, but almost the same amount of yards and same TDs as D'Onta Foreman, So, Cam Akers is one of those backs where I feel like he's very elusive. You give him the ball, he can catch out the backfield as well. He would be a good guy to have if, you had a guy like Alvin, going down, or you need to pull Alvin out for a second or so, for like a few plays, put Cam Akers and, you still got a guy that can still produce. But The only thing is, I just feel like Cam Akers ain't that power guy. So that's the one thing that will kind of hold me back into that. I already got a Kamara, I got a Devin Neal that can possibly do the same, a Kendrick Miller, but I need me a power back. So that's why I was thinking about Deontay Foreman, right? So what would you think about a Cam Akers, if the Saints was to get an Akers? What do you think you would get out of him?
Well, I mean, if this was a couple of years ago, I remember, he had a horrific injury a few years ago, but remember when he was available and I was all for it. Any of these running backs that you have out there, if Kellen Moore wants them, then maybe he sees something that he can use in his offense. As for Cam Akers, he's only 25 and he's a very productive running back. He's been productive when he, of course, wasn't hurt that season, but I wouldn't mind him. I'm just having trouble seeing where he would fit, because say you sign Cam Akers, does that take away your carries from rookie Devin Neal? Does it take your carries away from Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Because I know it's not taking away carries from Alvin. You're probably going to split carries or divide them up evenly, but that's the only thing I have that crosses my mind when signing someone like a Cam Akers or a Deontay Foreman. And I wouldn't mind it, but I'm just trying to find the fit,
Yeah. Well, next guy might even take a little bit more snaps from everybody, right? And because he was proving himself playing with the Chargers, last year, and that is no other than who? J.K. Dobbins, age 26, 429 attempts, 2,252 yards, and 21 TDs. This is another guy that I feel like that is out there that, somebody could sign and can use them. And to be honest with you, he can be a starting back for you if you need him to. And if not, he'll be a good 1-2 punch with a guy like, like Alvin Kamara. I think he's another guy kind of like a Cam Akers, where you want to give Alvin Kamara the most of the touches, but you still want to give him a break to where he's not on the field as much. J.K. Dobbins is the perfect guy because he can do both as well, I like this guy, J.K. Dobbins. What you think about J.K. Dobbins? I know you're going to say you really don't care about no running backs right now, but, what would you think about a J.K. Dobbins playing next to a Kamara?
So, J.K. Dobbins, he's just had a string of bad luck since he's gotten into the league. Injuries on top of injuries, just him coming back from it. He did very well for the Chargers last season. I'm very surprised that, Jim Harbaugh didn't ask him to come back and maybe be that number 2 back with Hampton that they just drafted. That would have been a dynamic duo in Los Angeles. But as for the Saints in this case, that one actually does intrigue me. Him and Kamara would seem like a good pairing, but for me, I don't want to take away carries from Devin Neal, even though he hasn't taken an NFL snap yet. But it's just, I'm very high on Devin Neal, and if you sign someone like J.K. Dobbins, I just think Devin Neal's probably going to be your number 3 running back on the depth chart, and the carries are probably going to be split up like 60, 30, 10. But J.K. Dobbins does intrigue me. He does. It's just I just don't know why the Chargers didn't.
I don't know. It's just that I'm not gonna lie. Like you said, he has been injuries, and you know who might be the next J.K. Dobbins? Kendrick Miller. He's going to be the guy that's injured. You barely get to see nothing out of him in Baltimore. He's going to finally produce a little bit, but he's then he's not going to want to stay there because you're not going to want to pay him. You don't trust to pay him because he's injury prone. You barely see anything. He leaves, goes to a team, and he actually produces and still gets, injured a little bit, but not as bad as if he was, still on your team. Kendrick Miller is kind of trending in that direction. When he hits the field, he makes an impact. But when he's not on the field, you're not here. you ain't doing nothing for it. So I can see Kendrick Miller turn into a J.K. Dobbins in the near future. That's just my thoughts on him. But like you already told me, you don't really care for running backs. I already understand. I already heard you 1,000 times. But I promise this is the last guy that I'm thinking of. Alright,
Okay.
and I saved one of the best for last. And this guy was fighting back from a severe injury that happened recently. And came back last year, played through it, but was just trying to get back, from the injury. But lately,
Hmm.
seeing some of his workout videos, looks like he's back and better than ever. This dude's jumping over so many different big hurdles and stuff. So he seems like he's ready, back in his, form. But nobody has signed this guy yet, and it's crazy. And the crazy part is this would be a heck of a 1-2 punch, especially with his with the guy's strength. If you need a few yards, he's gonna pick it up for you. And this is one of probably my favorite one that I'll love to see the Saints signs if we can get our hands on this guy, and that is Nick Chubb. He might be getting a little bit older. He is age 29, but over 1,300 attempts in the league, over 6,800 yards. 51 TDs as well. So I don't know what are y'all thinking in the chat about a Nick Chubb? What y'all thinking? So what y'all thinking about a Nick Chubb?
Okay, I have no idea what happened. My internet kicked me out, but
No, you good.
I'm glad I got that fixed quickly. As for Nick Chubb, I mean, I've loved Nick Chubb since he's entered the league. I think he's been one of the best running backs in the league when he's healthy. I mean, just a couple years ago, he had a brutal dislocated knee injury, and then last year another leg injury. It's just absolutely horrendous what he's had to go through, like injury wise. But Nick Chubb, even though he's 29, out of all the running backs that we've discussed, and that would probably be the only one I would take a flyer on. He would be. I mean, if you want to have a dynamic, I mean, Nick Chubb and Alvin Kamara, that would be very intriguing. It would maybe be like
Mark
that
Ingram.
maybe be like when we had Mark Ingram and Alvin. But I mean, 29. I mean, Alvin's pushing the same age, but I wouldn't mind Nick Chubb. It's just how much is it gonna cost to sign him? Because like I mentioned, you have $8.5 million left in cap space, which I don't even know how the heck Kai Harley and the gang gets it done. But after you sign your rookies, you probably only have maybe an estimated maybe $4 to $3 million left. And if I had to guess, Nick Chubb is probably going to want probably a lot more than what you have in cap space left. And I wouldn't mind it. It's just I don't know if we can get it done financially speaking.
Well,
But,
the Saints. You know how the Saints are.
They always find
They
buried
find
in
a
the
way
backyard. I
But
know.
the one good thing is, this is the one thing I will say though that I do like. Next year, well, this year was what, negative 60 million or whatever it was to begin with, and
Yes.
then now we positive and blah blah blah. I heard some rumors that if this is true, right? Next year we're supposed to be in the 100 millions free. Is that correct?
I don't know about hundreds of millions, but we are going to have a lot of cap room to play with as
That's
of
what I was saying.
now.
Yeah, as of now.
As of now, unless they're probably going to be eating that car money up, so you'll probably see the Saints maybe, to my knowledge, after looking on Spotrac and over the cap calculator, then should be at least 60 million in cap room, if I'm not mistaken. I would have to go back and check over the cap, but should have a lot of cap room to work with and maybe jumpstart this rebuild.
That would be nice because we definitely need to do that. And it looks like the next person that's going to be getting paid very soon is Chris Olave, because you don't want to lose a receiver like him. The question is, though, they picking up his 5th-year option because they want to sign him, to a bigger deal. The question is, do you think the Saints get a deal with him this year, or they wait till after the season to see how he performs since he's been getting concussions lately?
I think they will if this is going to get done, it'll probably get done maybe closer to December, if anything, because I've seen it done like that before. You want to see if he produces, if he stays healthy. But if not, then probably you're going to be waiting until the new league year. but I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I do see him getting signed. Not saying a long-term deal, but maybe like you see like a 3-year deal, 4-year deal. Nothing too crazy out of the ordinary, but I think a deal gets done. Maybe not as quickly as we may think, but I think a deal does get done.
Okay. Now let me ask you this question. I know this podcast says, will the Saints add a running back from free agency? We did talk a little bit on the last stream about the receivers. Is there anybody out there we can go get, especially big body? And it seems like Ross Jackson and Nick Underhill and all of them are covering that as well. They all seem like they like the idea of maybe getting Keenan Allen, even though he's a little bit older. He's a proven guy that he's proven, even though how old he's getting, he still can produce over 1,000 yards per season for you. And he's a big body receiver that can, you can throw it up to him and he'll be there for your guy, especially when you got two young guys that's going to need some targets, bigger body targets to throw to. So we talked about the receiver. We talked about the running back room. Is there anything, like any other position that you can think of right now that the Saints could pick up in free agency? And is there anybody out there that that's like, okay, they in free agency, I would love the Saints to sign him because that's a big need in one of our spots. Plus, I think we can give him the money he needs. Is there anybody out there like that?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like, a huge need, but, maybe you could add another linebacker because DeMario is probably at least 2 years away from. There was a name that was thrown around that the Bengals could be getting rid of Jermaine Pratt, which is crazy to me. He's also another tackling machine, and if the Bengals do cut him, and I'm Brandon Staley, Kellen Moore, Mickey Loomis and gang, and I pounce. Go see if you can get a deal done. I mean, you add Jermaine Pratt to the linebacker room, you now have Demario Davis, Danny Stutzman, who you just drafted, Pete Werner, and then Jermaine Pratt. And you trickle in a little bit of young guys like, a Jalen Ford, DeMarco Jackson, maybe an Anthony Orji, Nethai Sewell if he's still on the roster, but linebacker would be another one outside of receiver. But the crazy thing is about the whole Keenan Allen thing. I know that everyone's talking about it, but I had one of the shortest conversations yesterday with one of my sources. I straight up asked him, I said, look, tell me this, are the Saints going to get Keenan Allen? Shortest conversation I've ever had. Simple answer, no. And that was the end of the conversation. Sucks to hear that, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but now if it does happen, then it would be crazy, but that was the shortest conversation I've ever had with one of my Saints sources before, just one word. So it must be literally not happening, but I mean, but yeah, outside of big body wide receiver, which I just did an article on one yesterday that they should go after, a receiver that they should go after in the UFL, but linebacker would be another position, I think.
Okay. Any other position? Like corner? Do you think we set with our corners now with Alante Taylor, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and the rookie Quincy Riley, and then you still got guys like Rico Payton, and what was his name that we signed back recently?
Yeah, Isaac
Yiadom. Yeah.
So we probably could use another cornerback. The one cornerback that would make the most sense, being a former Staley guy from his Charger days, is Asante Samuel Jr., but the problem is, and everything that I've heard is, everyone is so worried about his medicals, and it's drawing a red flag to a lot of teams, including the Saints, because I heard that they had interest, but medicals are not coming back great. Maybe they wait to sign him, and once his medicals get better, but that would be the only one in the cornerback free agency market that I know of that would make the most sense is Asante Samuel Jr. Other than that, if you roll with Kool-Aid McKinstry, Quincy Riley, Rico Payton, Alante Taylor, and Isaac Yiadom, then you're throwing out a very young and experienced group, and sometimes getting thrown into the fire for some of these young players helps them along the way. We started Marshawn Lattimore as a rookie, and he was tremendous in his rookie year. So I'm expecting Kool-Aid McKinstry to take a jump, and I'm hoping Alante Taylor takes another leap. But Quincy Riley was a 6-year senior, so he's also an experienced kind of guy. Has played a lot of football in college. So if you're starting corners, if you count the slot, would be Kool-Aid McKinstry, Quincy Riley, and Alontae Taylor, and then you rotate Enrico Payton and Isaac Yiadom, then it's probably not the sexiest and most attractive bunch of names and group if you look at it on paper, but I think we'd be able to tread water. Maybe not handsomely, but I'm not saying it's the worst group in the league because it's not, but I'd be okay with rolling out that group because it's time to get the youth movement going, and you can only get better with reps.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Do you think the Saints should add any veteran edge rushers? Like to help out some of the, edge, with the pass rush? Because the only reason I'm asking this because according to the source that I was looking at earlier for, with their running backs room that was still available, here are some names that kind of catches my eye and you ask yourself, why the frick are these people still here? 2 big names. Well, 3 big names, but 2 of them really shot me. So Darius Smith is still out there, and Matt Judon. How the heck are both of those guys still available? That's the question. And the other one that I said, it kind of shocks me, but then again it doesn't because of his injury history lately, was Von Miller. Those are the only big 3 that I see. But then another guy that still hasn't signed back with the Saints yet, is Capasino. He ain't back on the team yet, but he's there. Out there still waiting to be signed. But other than those, 3 or 4, those are the people that I really like. But I'm about to scroll down and find out which ones we have defensive, backs in a second. I'm just looking at the D-line as well, just making sure we ain't missing nobody on here that's decent. Nope, nobody available. That's good. You said linebackers, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about a veteran guy that... And maybe it repeats itself like we did where we took a Jackson linebacker and they came over and signed. What about a C.J. Mosley?
I would not hate that. I really would. I mean, I know he's a little bit up there in age, but everywhere C.J. Mosley is still a very good linebacker, inside linebacker, and that wouldn't be a bad move in my opinion. I mean, I know I want the youth movement to start, the jumpstart the rebuild, but you have to. When you're in a rebuild, you have to sometimes have those savvy vets in there to mix in, and someone like a C.J. Mosley. I mean, I've loved him since he was on the Ravens, and even coming out of college years ago. So, I mean, I would not mind having C.J. Mosley on this team.
Okay. And then cornerbacks, here we go, finally. You're already missing Samuel. What about a Douglas? Rasul Douglas. He's available. Do you like him? Or you don't really care for him?
I would steer clear with Rasul Douglas because, he's very inconsistent, and I would just steer clear.
Okay. What about a veteran guy? I know this dude's probably getting old, but, he can be your veteran corner guy in here helping your locker room out. What about a Gilmore? He's just chilling there. What if he can come in and teach some of your rooms, a little bit of everything? He can just be, the outdoor, your your outside corner, and he can train people like Riley and them, and kind of coach him. Because, he was one of the great, corners in our town while we was watching them. So maybe he can mentor them and be on the field, too, if they need him, to help out. Depending on what type of defense we run, with the type of defense Stanley run, what does he run more? Man, zone, or, what's more?
He runs more of that nickel zone scheme. I mean, there was not a lot of man-to-man in Staley's scheme when I look back at the Charger days. With the Rams, they just ran whatever. So, because, it's easy to run a defense when you have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey out there. So, but with the Chargers, it was a lot more nickel zone forward instead of your base 3-4.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. What's your thing about this question right here? By Junior Bad A. He said, what if Rattler wins the quarterback competition and has a great season? What will they do with Sucks?
Well, it's not like they're gonna cut him. I mean, they invested a second round pick in the guy. But if Rattler wins the competition, then there's gonna be a lot of odd conversations that they have behind closed doors. I mean, it's going to be a fair competition this year, from what I've heard. Last year, as y'all heard me say this on the last show, it was not a fair competition because there was a lot of people on the last coaching staff that was very scared that Rattler was going to be so good that it was going to take Derek Carr's job. But this year it's going to be a fair job. If Spencer wins, that'd be nice, but they're not going to do anything with Shucks. Shucks is going to probably be here for a while, unless he winds up just being like Josh Rosen and they get rid of him after a year. But I don't see that happening at all. But if Spencer wins, that would be great. But as of right now, everything is just telling me that you're going to see Tyler Shuck be the starting quarterback for you this season.
I like it. Last guy I'm going to ask you about, cornerback. What about a James Bradbury? And he's still out there. I know he's getting a little bit older, but he is a veteran guy too as well.
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
If there's going to be any corner that I don't want them to sign, it's definitely James Bradbury.
James Bradbury. Gotcha.
Oh my goodness. No, thank
All right,
you.
so let's move over to safety. We grabbed Justin Reed. We got Tyrann Mathieu. You still got Jordan Howden, that's his name. And then you drafted Sanker. So, you got you a pretty good safety room. But there's still a lot of good veterans out here that I think could be a great pickup. Number one, you got Condre Diggs. You got Marcus Williams, former Saints player. You got Jordan Whitehead out there. You got Julian Blackmon out there. And you got a big name that we tried to get last year, but he decided to pass up on us. Justin Simmons is out there as well, waiting to be signed. Any of those names kind of, makes you want to think, like, okay, let's get them?
No, if your safeties, if you're going to roll with the safety room that you have, I'd be okay with Tyrann and Justin Reed as your starters, and you throw in Sanker and Howden. Sanker's probably going to be in that. He reminds me so much of Kenny Vaccaro that I think he's going to be in that Vaccaro role and play in the box every now and then because he can play that role. You've seen him do it. And Jordan Howden, I think he's going to be better. I truly do. New secondary coach. Another new secondary coach that he's got to learn from, but it's a leap this year. And eventually, when Tyrann hangs up the cleats, either Sanker or Howden's going to have to be your starter. You invested draft picks in them, and call me crazy, but Sanker's probably going to be one of those starters when Tyrann hangs it up if he pans out. But as for the free agents that you listed, I don't think so. I think I'd be okay with not signing any of them.
I gotcha. Well, we're going to move on and actually let some people come on. So I did put the link in the chat. I'm going to put it in there again just in case anybody wants to come on. I see one person waiting in the back. We'll bring you on very shortly. Right after this quick commercial break from the one and only sponsor, Hoodie, from Northport Nissan.
Ain't no way. This ain't no way. That's crazy. Oh, what's up, everybody? Y'all heard me saying ain't no way, right? I thought I would never say this, y'all. I've been here for almost a year at Eddie Terrell's Northport Nissan, and I thought I would never be able to say something like this, y'all, because it's been gone for a minute. But guess what? We brought it back. On the 2025 Nissan Pathfinders, we are doing 0% APR right now up to 5 years. Up to 5 years. Yes, I said it. And if you like to do a little bit longer term, you want to do a 6 years, they're doing a 1.9% APR. So guess what? It's crazy. I thought I would never be able to say something like that. I thought the good low, and I thought the 0% were gone for good. But no, we're bringing it back for this month. So make sure you come see your boy on the Pathfinders, especially if you need a third row vehicle for you and the family. And guess what? What's crazy is it's on any Pathfinder. So look, it could be on any of these, any of them, any of them, any of them, any of these, any of these, any one of these, any of these, any one of these two. Whew. That was a workout. So you've seen all the Pathfinders we had. We got over 40 plus selections to go through. So make sure you come see your boy at Eddie Terrell's Northport Nissan in Covington to come take advantage of this 0% APR today.
Hey, you heard it from the sponsor, Hoodie, man. Make sure you go see Hoodie at Eddie Terrell's Northport Nissan in Covington if you need a great deal. If you're looking to trade in your vehicle and replace it, or you're looking to sell your car as well, Hoodie said he will hook you up with the best deal, give you the most for your money, and he's going to make sure he gets you the best APR possible for you. So make sure you visit him today. Now, Logan, while we bring on our first guest of the night, you already know who he is. He recently had a birthday. He rocks you like a hurricane. You know who he is, man. This man just turned 16, so shout out to the new 16-year-old. Watch out. He might be on the road driving. Get off the roads because you might get hit by him because, like we already told you, he is like a hurricane. So let's bring him on. Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through. Hurricane Mike. What up?
What up, y'all?
Hey, man. How you been, and how was your birthday?
Man, my birthday was fantastic, man. I wasn't calling the show that night, but I ain't gonna lie. It was so fun that I fell asleep.
Well, I'm glad you had a good birthday, man. And another question to ask you this. What do you think about the running back room? Do you agree with Logan, where he said just don't really add nobody, but he said if you had to go after somebody that's out there, he'll love to see maybe Nate Chubb just because, just imagine him being healthy and then having him and Kamara play together, So what do? You want to stay put with what we got, see what we got in Devin Neal and Clyde and Kendra, hopefully he stays healthy, or do you try to go sign one of those guys I sold earlier?
Well, for the most part, I do agree with Logan on the running back room. I think the Saints don't really need – I think the Saints, they got veteran leadership in Kamara. They got a young stud in Devin Neal. They got another young, unproven guy, Kendrick Miller. So they basically got the whole 9 yards in their running back room. I think that if the Saints – bro, I put this in the chat earlier, and I stand on this. If Nick Chubb never gets hurt, I think he's one of the best running backs of all time. Okay? If he never got hurt, I think he could have a case of being at least top 10 running back of all time. Now, in the chat, I said best running back of all time. Okay, maybe that was a little extreme. But I still think he would have been probably a top 10 running back of all time. From that man, the way he runs, y'all know how Ashton Jenkins was running the ball at Boise State? Just imagine that, but against professionals. Bro, that was just fantastic watching Nick Chubb play before that injury. So if he never got hurt, I think he might have been a top 10 running back of all time. So if the Saints signed Nick Chubb, bro, that would have been amazing. However, I still have not given up on Kendrick Miller yet, mostly because it's I've seen him play his best. I've seen him sometimes play his best. Obviously, who can forget whenever he played the Falcons Week 18, that stretch for a touchdown. That man was at the 5-yard line and stretched for a touchdown. Man, when I saw that play, I thought this man was a wizard. How do you stretch that far? But anyways, yeah, I still haven't gave up, and I also haven't gave up on Clyde. Obviously the LSU fan in me. Clyde, he's been an up and down running back, but I still think, if the Saints build the right system, I think he could be. I think he could be some, But also the Saints with Jordan Mims, I think the Saints Jordan Mims really didn't get a lot of playing time last year with Alvin Kamara being your focal back. Got Kendrick Miller back there. Back then we had Jamal Williams. So, Jordan Mims was buried in the depth chart. He was a practice squad body. So, the Saints, they don't really need to add any running back, man. But, if the Saints do add one, I'll be fine with, a Nick Chubb or a J.K. Dobbins. Those are really the only two guys on my radar. Dante Foreman, I just think, is, a guy that he's like a Jamal Williams to me. He's just a guy, give it to the 1-yard line, see what he can do. That's basically what he is. I think, a J.K. Dobbins or Nick Chubb if we are to add a running back. But I agree with Logan for the most part. I'm fine with the running back room. We all know Kamara doesn't have he probably only has maybe 1 or 2 more good years in him. But at the end of the day, man, that's why you drafted Devin Neal. That's why you drafted Kendrick Miller. That's why you brought in Clyde. That's why you brought in Mims. It's all for, the after part of Kamara. So that's my take on the running back room.
Okay, I like it. What you think, Logan? You like what this young man's saying? I mean, only 16 years old now. Come on.
I agree with some of the things that he said, but I mean, as for Kendra Miller, it's just I wanted him to be like when we drafted him. I was both happy and upset because I'm like, why did you draft Kendra Miller when Tajay Spears is right there? I mean, I know that was kind of the homer in me saying that, but you know, both of them have been kind of injury prone since coming into the league. But as for Kendra Miller, I think he spends. It just seems like he's brittle. I hate saying it like that because it sounds like, you know, I'm trying to be offensive to the man, but I'm not. It's just he spent more time. He has spent more time in the training room at Ochsner than he has playing on the actual field, and that's why I'm thinking, you know, you bring in an undrafted free agent like Marcus Yarns out of Delaware, who I don't know how he went undrafted. I had him graded as a 5th round guy, and he is a pass catching back. He can run in between the tackles, and I just think, you know, with both Clyde and Marcus Yarns, if you have those two to get on your roster, then Kendra Miller and Jordan Mims are probably your odd men out. So that's just my opinion. If Kendra it's always just a matter of if. If Kendra is healthy. If Kendra is healthy, it's just, I'm just tired of saying if at this point.
What up, Scoob? Who that to you, man?
Scoob.
By the way, everybody that's in here watching, make sure you hit the damn like button. Hit
You
that
ain't
sub
like the
button
video
if
yet.
you are new. And if you watching from Twitter, make sure y'all hit that follow button over there as well. So, Lil Mike, I'm going to ask you this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other position on the team right now that you would love to see the Saints, you know, make moves on besides wide receiver and running back? Because that's the two things we talked about already. You know, we talked about receivers on the last podcast. Just when we talked about running back. So is there any other position that you can think of that you say, okay, I would like to address that as well?
Corner. Look, I think the Saints have an underrated corner room if you're going based off potential. Okay? I think Alontae Taylor could be good in the long run, but we've seen him play on the outside, and I'm sorry, that does not give me faith. I still remember the time when he got benched against the Rams because that boy was getting torched all night. Like, I still remember that. Like, that, I still have dreams about that game to this day. Like, I still remember that. Like, I just don't. Ever since that day, like, I think, you know, like, he's a solid player, but I just don't trust him. Like, I'm sorry, something gives me bad vibes about it. Even when we played the Rams last year, I just think this entire team crumbles against the Rams. I don't know why. But, yeah, Taylor, I just don't think he's that great against outside receivers or physical receivers, to be honest. Because when I think about Alontae Taylor, I don't think like a big physical guy. I don't know how tall he is at the top of my head, but I know he ain't that tall. I know he ain't like 6'4" or none. So, like, and if he is, then I don't know what his mama was feeding him. But like Alontae Taylor, I just don't like. He just doesn't strike me right now. He could be good in the long run. And hey, when we drafted him, I wasn't that happy because I felt like we could have drafted somebody else when we drafted him. And then he had a good rookie year. And then I was like, okay. Then the sophomore year came, and then the sophomore slump happened. And, yeah. But also, you know, you got Kool-Aid. And look, last year when we drafted Kool-Aid, bro, I was the happiest man alive. If you've never had kids and you wanted to see the face of somebody on Christmas on a child's face on Christmas morning, that was me when we drafted Kool-Aid. I'm telling you, bro. When we drafted Kool-Aid, bro, I thought we already well, I didn't say we were going to win the Super Bowl, but from my reaction, you thought we won the Super Bowl. Like I was ecstatic with that pick. I feel like the Saints couldn't have made a better pick in that moment if they even tried to. So I love the Kool-Aid. I still love the Kool-Aid. I still think Kool-Aid could be a number one corner in the NFL. He showed a lot of upside last year. And now with Adebo gone, Lattimore gone, now it's his turn to shine. But also Quincy Riley. I do like the pick. But here's why I still want the Saints to address corner. Did y'all not watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers draft selection in the first round? Did y'all not see that? Do you really trust this secondary with Alontae Taylor, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Quincy Riley, 3 young players going up against Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Emeka Egbuka? Newsflash, it ain't happening. We're going to get torched. It ain't happening. Okay, unless Quincy Riley's the next version of Marshawn Lattimore, it ain't happening. Okay? Unless the 3 guys just turn out to be some of the best corners in football, it ain't happening. And then it goes to Carolina. You got to go up against Tetairoa McMillan now. In Atlanta, they still ain't going to do nothing. But, like, with Carolina and Tampa, it's like – with Carolina and Tampa, it's like we're going up against these physical guys like Tetairoa McMillan. What is he? A tall, physical guy. What is Mike Evans? A tall, physical guy. And Chris Godwin can destroy you in the game when it comes to the middle of the field. He destroys you in that. That's the Saints' problem every time they play against Chris Godwin. It's always the middle of the field cooking us. And that's why I wanted the Saints to add corner. That's why I didn't want them to lose Adebo, but here we are. But yeah, the Saints cornerback room, I think, is the number 1 need. Honestly, I'll argue it's the number 1 need regardless of receiver or running back. I don't care what y'all talking about. I'm talking about the damn corner room. We got to go up against the Buccaneers Avengers, and we got to go up against the Carolina Panthers Justice League, and we got Alontae Taylor guarding them.
But I agree with you on the most part. Add a corner and all that. The only thing, Logan, the only thing I would say I wouldn't agree with you on the whole thing was just maybe linebacker, just because I think I feel comfortable. Just kind of like what Logan said. He basically said it just like this. Hurricane Mike said it earlier, that we got a very underrated, he feels like, that has a lot of potential at corners, right? Well, you go to the linebacker room, I feel like it's the same thing. You got Demario Davis, who's your big veteran that's going to be here for possibly about another year or so. You got your guy and Pete Warner, who's a veteran now. He's been in the league for a while, so he knows what he's got to do. It's just injuries, here and there, kind of holding him back. And then you got a guy that we just drafted, that we love, Danny Stutzman. He's going to be amazing. And then you still got other guys like you named earlier, Ford, who hasn't really got to touch the field as much yet. You got, what's his name? Oji, I think his name was. Him. He showed a lot of potential last year in the preseason games and some of the times when he had a chance to play. So they got like linebackers. I think we're good enough on that. The only thing is, if I'm the Saints, I would definitely go corner. But depending on what type of, like the defense Stanley going to run this year and how they're going to utilize their edge rushers and all of that, I wouldn't mind adding a guy like Matthew Judon to the edge, with a guy like Chase Young and all that. But it also depends on how you're going to be using these guys. Like you said, some of these edge might be used as a linebacker, but coming off, from a different blitz package or all that. So it kind of just depends on how you're going to utilize certain players. But I would say go after a guy like Matt Judon, or go after Zadarius Smith. He's still out there, which is crazy to me as well. So I would say DN or corner would be my 2 majors. But one of my big majors as well is going for a receiver that's a big body as well. That's who I'm really going after. But I mean, who do you think, Hurricane Mike? Because, like, me, I like Kenan Allen. Logan likes Kenan Allen, but he said it's going to be hard because he said he did talk to somebody, one of his shorts guys, and he said he basically gave him the quickest and shortest conversation ever and told him straight up, no, they are not doing that. But Logan also missing, what was the receiver again from the UFL?
Oh, Hakeem Butler. That's somebody I would love to see them go after. I mean, 6'5", 227. He's been the top wide receiver in the UFL. Last year, I think he was the offensive MVP in the league, and he led the league in receiving yards, which was only 657, I believe, something around there. But this year, he's only played 2 games, and he's already killing it. You can't teach that. I mean, I don't think he's gotten a fair shake when he was in the NFL. I mean, the Cardinals cut him after 1 year after being drafted, but Hakeem Butler would be somebody I would love for them to go after.
Cause I mean, you are saying like that is another big body guy. in the UFL. I think I've seen a few highlights where he was actually marching some people as well in some of those plays. So like, I wouldn't mind, giving him a shot in the NFL, like you said, 'cause that is another big body. Keenan Allen, but other than that, I mean, you go look in free agency and you look at the receivers they have out there. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna literally look back on the app and tell y'all who they actually have for wide receivers still. But let me see. So best wide receivers they saying currently available: Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, Nelson Aguilar already signed back with the Ravens though, so he should be off the list. Odell Beckham, DJ Chark, Tyler Boyd, Kadarius Toney, Brandon Powell, Chris Conley, Deontay Hardy, but I think Deontay signed back with the Ravens as well, if I'm not mistaken. Jamison Crowder, Allen Robinson.
Slim
and from there. Well, he used to be one of my favorite Saints players that I was cheering for, when he came here undrafted. But a lot of people didn't really like him as much, and that was Marquez Callaway. I love Callaway, bro, and he just got released, so he did. This is what I say. I think Marquez Callaway is really good, but when he plays for Jameis, just draw it up to him, he'll go get it for you. It was just those few games between him and Jameis Winston. It was just looking good.
That Hail Mary is legendary.
So yeah, the Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Right before halftime. Yeah, I think it was like right before halftime, which was crazy.
Yeah, it was a tied game, and then that play, literally, that was the momentum shift that we needed.
Definitely. Deshaun, by the way, this is one of the guys I work with at work. He said no old wide receivers. Hey, the only old wide receiver we're gonna go with would be Keenan Allen if we could, Logan, because he's the only one that's showing at the age of 30. In his 30s, he can still produce over 1,200 yards. So he would be somebody that we would sign as an old guy, Deshaun, but that's the only person because everybody else is kind of. I mean, maybe Amari Cooper if you can get your hand, because he's only 30, so he's not like 33 like Keenan Allen. But other than that, you heard the names I listed in there, right? There's nobody in there. Maybe like you what we said the other night, wide receiver, maybe Tyler Boyd. You said maybe he'll be a guy you might want to add. But other than that, everybody's older, and when you get down this list and you start looking at all the receivers left, I don't even know half of these names. And the last guy on the list, I know his name is Callaway because he played for the Saints. Now, if he didn't play for the Saints, I probably would never know who the heck Callaway was. So, if I'm just saying, there ain't that many people left out there, and the crazy part is you have players in front of you, right? In the draft, but you decided, like we said, the pick sucks with the 40th pick when we had other people in front of us. So, that's the main question you ask the Saints now. If you don't have a big body receiver, you don't give the guy from the UFL a chance, you don't go after Ken Allen because you feel like he's too old and injury prone, what do you do? Do you roll with what you got? Chris Olave, Rasheed Shaheed, and Brandon Cooks? Mason Tipton and Bud Means. I mean, that's your main your main receiving core. And the song said Fire Loomis. Trust me, the whole Who Dat Nation has been saying is Fire Loomis.
No comment.
We've been saying that for like 3 years now.
Yep. But
I mean, I really do like Bub Memes. I really, really do. And I can honestly say I want to shout out my good friend Calvin, who actually played with him when they was at Louisiana Tech together. And he was the one that kind of put me on the Bub Memes. I mean, I had him on my big board when he was coming out of Pittsburgh. I believe he was coming out of Pittsburgh. And he was the one that told me all about him. He was like, man, if the Saints get this guy, I'm going to celebrate. He catches everything. He can catch in traffic. He can take a hit and just keep on going. And sure enough, we drafted him. So I think Bub Memes might be a name to watch if he gets a fair shot. Last year, I mean, even with injuries, they didn't really. I mean, Rattler didn't even have protection, so he couldn't even get at the bow if he wanted to. But Bub Memes is somebody I would probably watch as maybe a guy that gets used a little bit more. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is just something, Logan, that I need you to ask your sources, for tomorrow, if you don't mind, or if they awake right now, just text them and ask them. Is it true what people are posting online right now about Chris Olave? It looks like he put on some weight this offseason.
Looking at the picture, I can probably tell you, as somebody who's had to shred weight and add weight myself, which is it's so hard to do. I swear to God, it is. It looks like Chris Olave did add some muscle. I mean, he might have. It's like night and day. Just like last year we were seeing photos of Derek Carr. It looked like he added more weight, even though it didn't seem to work. He got his ass kicked out. So Olave added a little bit more muscle to his game, and if he's going to take hits like that, I mean, it really seems like it's a smart thing to do. I mean, you're adding more muscle, which gives you more strength and more the ability to protect yourself more. So, I mean, now the only thing you got to worry about is he is gaining weight preventing concussions? No, not to my knowledge.
No, it doesn't. Concussions are in the head.
Yeah. But the only thing that will prevent it is if he wears that the Guardian cap. So
yeah,
that's the only thing. I mean, now if I'm saying wearing a Guardian cap, then I mean that's crazy because I was really against these players wearing these Guardian caps in the game. I'm like, really, what are we doing here? I mean, it's football. Like, what are we doing here? But now it's like I understand it. Now, will I ever wear one? Probably not. Just like I never wore an athletic cup when I played either. I mean, it's just something I never did. Like, Guardian cap, I mean, if anyone needs to wear a Guardian cap, it's Chris Olave. I hate saying it like that, but that's the only thing that would prevent concussions for him. But him adding weight, I mean, that's a nice thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all this, and I'm gonna ask you this, Logan, too. I'm just curious on your thoughts about this. I know Derek Carr, a lot of people hated his ass, and a lot of people was attacking his ass, especially when they drew one of the balls and they said it was a hospital ball for Michael Thomas when he got hurt when he was playing, and then last year for Chris Olave when he got one of the concussions as well. They said it was Derek Carr's fault or whatever. But if you really look back on the history of Olave's concussions, they all ain't been Carr's. One of them, he drew it to him, he caught it in the end zone, held on to the ball, and then the dude swung him into the ground. He hit head first. So that's not his fault. They had a few other concussions that was just him getting hit in the head, and it wasn't even a hospital ball. It was just another player hit him in the wrong spot. Wrong place at the wrong time. But at the end of the day, it's like, what does he do besides wearing the Guardian cap to protect himself now? Because I mean, yeah, he has a small body, but like my guy that's on in the chat was saying, just putting muscles and gaining weight, it's not going to prevent you from, having concussion. Like you saying, Logan, the only thing that could possibly prevent it from maybe happening as much like it's been lately is putting on the Guardian cap. Another person that really needs the Guardian cap is Tua. Man, this man's like one more concussion away from not playing in the NFL again.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
So like, I just don't know, like, how do you prevent concussions nowadays? Because they always tell you don't lean in with the head, don't do this and that, but they still do it till today. So I don't know what to do.
What I'll say is, well, one, Tua, I wish he would just would have retired. I mean, he almost died on the field. But
Tua does it to himself.
Yeah. So to answer your question, it's really hard. I mean, I was a smaller guy, and I had to launch myself into people, and sometimes it would be into people's heads. And they teach you form tackling. They could teach you all these fundamentals, but it's just when you're in the field and the bullets are flying live, all that goes out the window because all you're trying to do now is just get somebody onto the ground or stick the heck out of somebody where the ball becomes dislodged. That's the mentality of a defensive player. I mean, get the ball at all costs and go hit the heck out of somebody. But for Olave, I mean, it did look like he is kind of like that yak receiver. They're trying to turn him into a yak receiver instead of a traditional wide receiver one. But the one thing I would say is, I mean, they do teach some receivers to fall down after you catch the ball to avoid contact. I think Tyler Lockett was one of those guys.
Yes.
Tyler Lockett
was perfect at doing that. And if I'm Olave, I would go kind of watch some of Tyler Lockett's techniques to avoid getting that contact, the unnecessary contact. And I'm not saying it's not a knock on Chris Olave, but I mean, when you go back and look at the film, yeah, there was a lot of hospital balls, but there's also when you're a team's wide receiver one, yeah, you're going to have a target on your back, especially if you run across that middle of the field, because those players in the middle of the field, especially if you're running like a slant or one of those hitch routes, those linebackers are taught to hit you if you're within 5 yards. If you're coming across the middle, like my coach said, if he, and nothing crosses your face for free, somebody's going to be very unhappy. So if I'm Chris Olave, you catch it in the middle field, just fall. They're like, do what Tyler Lockett does. And I mean, he like, if you go back and look at all the tape, there was very rare. Someone actually pointed out, I think it was like last year, they said, go look at Tyler Lockett's tape. He never gets tackled or he avoids contact. And when I went back, it's just he fell. He would fall, run out of bounds, or if he caught it in the middle of the field, like I said, would fall. So do what Tyler Lockett does, and you probably have a longer career, because Tyler Lockett's actually had a very good career. I mean, he's not been like, you know, a top 5 wide receiver in the league, but man, I would love to have like a Tyler Lockett on this team right now. So if I'm Chris Olave, go watch Tyler Lockett's tape and learn to avoid that unnecessary contact, and you'll probably play all 17 games this year, maybe more.
That was one veteran player that I do like, you know, Tyler Lockett. And it doesn't seem like he's one of those guys that's going to catch and try to do the yard after catch, you know. He's just catch it, go down. Catch it, go out of bounds, you know. Do whatever he's got to do to make sure he don't get hit to where he can play longer, you know. And I think that's what's, I guess you can say that's what's, you know, bad about a lot of the receivers nowadays, especially the younger ones. If you look at all the good ones coming into this league today, a lot of them are very skinny, like Olave, small, but they very fast, you know, and they, you know, got the quick feet. But the thing is when they get hit, you know, they can only get hit a few times before they, you know, get injured or something like that. So if I'm all these small people coming into the league, you know, like a Chris Olave size, I'm definitely looking at the tapes of Tyler Lockett to find out how I can stay in the league a lot longer, because I'm not built like a DK Metcalf where I can take hits, you know. I'm not built like that guy. So we'll see, you know how Olave does this year. See if he decides to wear a guardian cap to maybe help prevent, you know, concussion as much. Um, and we're gonna see very soon what the Saints decide to do at receiver. Do we stay put with what we got and just work with it, or do they actually try to sign somebody like a Kenan Allen, or like you said, maybe the guy Butler from the UFL, and invite him to see what we can do with him? But we'll definitely see very soon. What do you think about the tight end room? You think we'll be all right with Juwan Johnson and you know, the Foster Moreau if he decides to, you know, if he comes back? I think he's hurt as well. Taysom's hurt recovering. So like, besides Juwan Johnson being the starter, who we got if Moreau and Hill ain't ready to go?
So I mean, they did just draft Matavo out of UCLA, and he's a really big body guy. And I think, you know, Juwan's gonna be good again. I mean, last year he led our team in receiving yards, which if that happens again, then our receivers might not be great, which is the craziest thing to say. But as for a tight end room, I have to double check, make sure I quote everything correctly. But
Hokers, maybe?
Yeah, that was the name I was thinking of. So I hate to say it. I mean, I love having LSU talent on this team. I mean, it's very refreshing that you're seeing the Saints finally sign players out of LSU, but Foster Moreau might be the odd man out in this Kellen Moore offense, and I would love to see, like, you know, him give a lot of reps to Dallin Holker, because last year, former head coach Dennis Allen was saying that when they picked up Holker, that they viewed him as an 8th round pick. That's how high they were on him. They was thinking about taking him in the 7th round last year, believe it or not. And it's crazy that he went undrafted, and I thought it was even crazier that we signed him because of how high I was on him. So if your tight end room is, like, you know, Juwan, Maliki Matavo that we just signed, probably not pronouncing his name correctly, but I'm going to have to study that some more. And, you know, Holker, I'm sure they're going to probably sign somebody, like, you know, during training camp again, maybe be that 4th guy. Maybe that will be Foster Moreau. I don't know how many tight ends that this team's going to carry, because there's only 53 spots. So, but maybe Foster Moreau is that 4th tight end. But the tight end room doesn't seem to bother me because to think about it, there's not really much out there that you can go after in free agency. I mean, you kind of have to stick with the guys that you got, and Kellen seen a lot that he liked in Juwan Johnson enough to sign him back. And from what I've heard, Kellen really does like Juwan Johnson. So
Yeah, maybe
as
we'll
far
see
as
the
the
best
type,
out of him, right? Maybe he can get the best out
maybe.
of him because he's an offensive-minded guy. You know, it's just like Sean. When you had Sean Payton, he got the best out of everybody. When you was like, because you remember when Drew Brees was getting a little bit older, so right before he retired, it was like 2019, 2018, and all that, and you just like asked him, you know, okay, we got Michael Thomas, cool, but who the heck are we gonna add? He's adding, you know, our undrafted free agent Deontay Hardy. Um, you was going to get veterans like Ted Ginn Jr. You know, you're just getting people that just wasn't it. You know, you wasn't finding the next guy to stand next to Michael Thomas. And you was always asking, like, what are we going to do with this team? What are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with Josh Hill? What are we doing with these tight ends? Like, you know, we went and got all these older tight ends, you know. But you realize that Sean Payton brought the best out of everybody. So the question is, can Kelly Moore be the next Sean Payton and get the best out of him being that offensive-minded coach? The other thing is, if Taysom Hill becomes healthy and, you know, like maybe by I don't know how long they said it's going to take. They said he probably won't be ready for the beginning of the season, but if he was to be, you know, let's say midway through the seasons, do Kellen Moore keep him on the roster and use him maybe like a Jalen Hurts in some cases, like, you know, it's 4th and inches. Do you do the tush push with him and to steal their play and use it with a Taysom Hill back there who's strong and can just, you know, get those 1 or 2 yards for you? I don't know, but I'm really waiting, you know, and I'm really, just to be honest, I'm ready to see what it's gonna be like. You know, I'm ready to see what it's gonna be like with Kellen Moore's offensive scheme because it seems like everybody that he coached at, because he never had a head coach, I was just offensive coordinator. You know, Coach Dak did good, played with Cooper Rush and was beating, playing Cooper Rush good, right? You had Justin Herbert. Um, Then they say he had to use Kenny Pickett or something for a little bit.
Hmm.
So
So
like you know
last
Jalen
year
Hurts.
Jalen Hurts got hurt against the Commanders actually, which the Commanders won that game. I was very happy about that. But yeah, he Coach Kenny Pickett for that one game. Kenny Pickett did not look great in that game at all.
He was all right, but
He was all
he
right, but he did not look great.
he could have definitely been better.
So he's coached a variety of guys, and he got, like you say, Coach Dak. Had to use Cooper Rush for a little bit during that little stint because Dak got hurt once again. But as for Taysom Hill, I think Kellen Moore is an offensive-minded guy, and I'm not going to sit here and say he's a genius yet. That's to be determined. But you have someone like Taysom Hill, you're going to figure out how to use him. You're an offensive-minded guy. You're going to figure out how to use your weapons. And Taysom Hill is just one of those, you know.
You gotta. There's no way you let him go. There's no way you that like you know what I'm saying. How people say people when you have certain players on the field because of another coach had them, it's usually like it's that person's player. But goddamn, anybody would take Taysom Hill at this point because of how talented he is and all the positions he can play. So, like I'm saying, if he comes back and he's healthy enough to play, hopefully Kellen Moore don't do the dumb thing, and say, you know what, that's a Sean Payton guy. Sean Payton, here you go. You can have him. I'll trade him to you, release him, whatever. You can have him. There's got to be something you can use with Kellen Moore. Like I said, number one, you can use him with the tush push. That'll be one of my favorite plays. By the way, shout out to my guy School Man in the chat. He dropped a 30 freaking bomb, man. A $30 super chat. Shout out to you. He said, I just wanted to check in and show some love. I've been falling asleep listening to you since you came back. Come up, keep up the good work, pimping. I'm gonna join the StreamYard at some point. I feel you, man. Whenever you're ready to join, come hop on. Thank you for the $30 super chat. That was really generous of you. Didn't have to. And thank you for being a member as well. So anybody that's wanted to become a member, you're more than welcome to hit that member and join. Like I tell people all the time, I haven't said it in a while just because your boy haven't been live, in over 5 months. And we still kept 3 members that still stay there for 5 months and just kept paying monthly, which I appreciate y'all for even being supporters and doing that. But I'm
Yeah.
back full time, so y'all welcome to hit that membership. The cheapest is 99 cents. The most expensive is $4.99. So if you want to support the channel and be a monthly member, you're more than welcome to do that. And very soon, I'm trying to figure out, how I'm gonna plan it all out. But what I'm gonna try to start doing is that anybody that are my members, I'm gonna try to start doing some giveaways every month, to my members, and whoever's a members will spin the wheel and we'll pick a winner to win something, whether it's like a t-shirt, whatever it's something. And depending on how bad the Saints are this year, maybe y'all win a Saints ticket to the game for cheap, because they might be cheaper than what I think, because we'll see. But I definitely want to do that for everybody that becomes a member, take care of those who was, basically supported me even when I wasn't even here. So shout out to your school. Thanks again, my brother. He said, "You're my guy, bro. I would support you. If it was $50 per month, I would support." I appreciate you, man. Like I said, I don't try to charge too much, for people, because in today's world, people ain't the richest, and some people like to support. So that's why I try to do the cheapest one, because you never know. You might charge the most. You might say, okay, the cheapest I got is $10. Not many people would do that, but if I can get $101, that's $100. So that's for 100 people, supporting, because it's a cheap one to afford. So that's all it is. The more subs, the more members, the better it is. So shout out to School, man. I appreciate you for joining.
Yeah.
Randy put something in a comment, Logan, and I know you probably read it already. He said Tyler Sucks was exceptional with the RPO in college. I wonder how Kellen Moore can utilize him and Taysom being on the field at the same time.
So, if Taysom's going to be the same Taysom that he was these last few years, because that injury that he suffered was pretty significant, and I'm not saying he's going to retire. If I was him, I'd probably, he's 35, 36 years old, and I would just probably, because he's got kids, I would just start thinking about the future. This might be the last year of Taysom Hill if he does play, and I don't know how he would utilize both Shuck and Taysom Hill at the same time. But it's interesting because someone posted a photo of when Tyler Shuck was playing at Texas Tech, and he had like 22 carries for 111 yards in a bowl game, I believe, for 2 touchdowns. So it looks like Tyler Shuck can carry some of that weight that Taysom will probably leave behind, because after Taysom's gone, then you don't have that Swiss Army knife, and you probably won't ever get another one ever again. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. That's once in a lifetime athlete. The last time I've ever seen a Taysom Hill on film, by the way, I'm not that old, is Frank Gifford from the 50s. So you're talking about almost a century or years and years. So I don't know how he's going to utilize him. That is very interesting, and the only one way to find out
is to have him on the field, healthy. But, at the same time, Taysom Hill ain't ready yet, which you probably can ask your shorts too. They probably never heard nothing about Taysom Hill even being ready for the beginning of the season. It's probably going to be probably mid-season by the time he's ready, because of the injury he suffered and how late it was too.
Well, I mean, it all depends on rehab, and I mean, with the significance of the injury. But I haven't asked him anything about Taysom. It actually hasn't crossed my mind, crazy enough. And I think the Taysom Hill era is probably towards the end, and it absolutely is sad because it feels like it was short-lived, but it's been years. But it's going to be interesting to see, because if this is the last year of Taysom Hill, then I'd love to see how Kellen Moore uses him this year. But if you put Taysom Hill on the field, you're probably taking Tyler Shuck out, and I'm not sure if Kellen Moore wants to do that.
I like it. I mean, do you think Kellen Moore uses a lot of RPOs with Tyler Sucks down, now that you got a quarterback that can, run those plays, and he can actually use his legs if you need to? Or do you think he tries to be, I don't know, a little bit safer with Tyler Suggs since he is kind of an injury prone, has 3 injuries from college. So do he just try to just be a safe quarterback, and just keep him in the pocket and then tell him, hey, scramble if you have to because you're under pressure. That's the real question.
So, I mean, you go back and see how he used Dak, and Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts. Look at all three of those stints, and he did a lot of RPO with Dak. He did a lot of RPO with Justin Herbert, and he did a lot of RPO with Jalen Hurts. It's, Tyler Shuck, he's 6'5", over 225 pounds. He's going to try to protect his quarterback, but he's also going to try to utilize him in the best way possible. I believe in Kellen Moore. He still has to earn that trust from me personally and also the fans, but I think he's going to use Tyler Shuck in a way that is best suited for him. Going back looking at film, Shuck really loves being on the rolling outside the pocket. He can run. He can. He's not the greatest, but he can. He's kind of like Dak, and he's kind of like Herbert in that aspect. And I know I compare him to Nick Foles, but he's a mobile Nick Foles, in my opinion. But I think Kellen Moore is going to use Tyler Shuck to his strengths, and if that's RPO, then you're going to see a lot of RPO. Because in Louisville, they ran a lot of that. Jeff Brom, the head coach at Louisville, really got the best, I believe, out of Tyler Shuck, even more so than Texas Tech did before his injuries, of course.
Let me ask you this, because somebody mentioned this the other day. I don't know if you caught it in the chat that night when we was talking about comparisons and stuff. You remember somebody saying that when they were looking at the research, at first they were like, oh, I don't care about the Tyler Suggs. But after they did their research and they were digging into it, they said after looking at the height, looking at his arm talent, how really talented he is, how he can make any throws, he can get in the tight places. It's just really the injuries and having to be in college for 7 years is what makes a lot of people worried about Tyler Suggs, right? Well, I remember you saying Nick Foles, your ceilings, and your floor was Tyler. I said Tyler, Josh McCown. Somebody said this the other day. They said they think his ceiling, like if he becomes and plays like he can play and just not have injuries and actually, Kellen Moore even coaches him and gets him better. They're saying with the height comparison to arm talent, some people think he could be a more athletic Justin Herbert, because Justin Herbert's tall, he's got the arm talent. He's just maybe not as athletic as Suggs, So I kind of thought that, and I kind of rethought it, and I said that's not bad, that's not a bad comparison because if you think about it, Justin Herbert's not a bad quarterback, but the question is when he did have Keenan Allen and some other people, what has he really done, with the team as much, but they made the playoffs once, I think, or twice, if that, but he ain't made it far, So the question is, could Tyler Suggs' ceiling be a maybe future Justin Herbert, but just a little bit more athletic? Possibly.
It's very possible. They both have similar measurables, and they both have similar kind of play styles. And oddly enough, Tyler Shuck was Justin Herbert's backup in college, so crazy enough to think about. So it's very possible. Kellen Moore did coach Justin Herbert, and it's very, very possible.
What's up, That Sports?
What's poppin', man? Long time no here.
I know, man. It's been a while. Where you been?
Yeah, man, you guys just working, same old, nothing changed. Yeah, man, but I'm glad to see y'all. All the who that's in the chat, man. What's up? What's poppin', y'all?
What's up, man?
Not just ready to get back to football, man. When things make sense in life,
Definitely, man. We're ready. So That Sports, let me know, man. On the topic we was talking about tonight, running backs, and then we can, discuss from there. What you think about the running back room? You like it? You think it's solid? Should we add anybody from free agency like a Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins, a Cam Akers, or a Deontay Foreman? Those are the 4 people I like that I looked at. I said I could add. I can see them adding somebody like them. Or are you happy with the current room we have?
I like the current room we have now. I'm not in love with it, but I like where we're at. Uh, listen, hearing a name like Nick Chubb, man, that's like that'd be great. But we all know his history with injuries. It hasn't been as good over the past few years with Chubb. He's an awesome running back. He is a great running back, but it'll be at his age right now, taking the risk with injuries. That'll be a lot to take on. But I like our current running back room right now.
Okay. The other thing we started talking about as well was, basically what we covered last podcast was the wide receiver room. You know, um, are you okay with the receiver room we have right now? Because I know me and Logan's been talking about adding a big body receiver. Maybe Keenan Allen. He's a little bit older, but he's still proven that he can still get 1,000 yards at his age.
Right.
Or Logan said Butler from the UFL league. He's big body. He's bodying people and marching people in that league right now. That's another big body to add. Or do the Saints just stay put? Because the only people we talked about on my podcast was Cooper and Keenan Allen, and Elijah Moore, but Elijah Moore's off the board now. He already went the next day after we got done with the podcast. He went and signed with the Bills, and the Bills must have heard our podcast that night. They said, you ain't here, you ain't doing that. We're signing you."
Right.
So, I mean, what you think of the receiver room?
I like it's decent right now. I found that kind of strange. We didn't address that in the draft. I did find it kind of odd. I didn't see it. Did we pick anybody up undrafted receivers?
Yeah.
Two
did.
of them. Logan
Two?
can probably Logan, you can probably miss in the two because you probably know it a little bit more than me.
Okay.
I know we picked up Moochie from SMU, and we picked up, I think Chris Tyree was one of them. There was, I believe, one more. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but none of them are big-bodied wide receivers. They're all speedy guys. So.
Right. Yeah, because this draft this draft, you could have actually gotten a couple of good wide receivers in any round in this draft, man. I didn't understand why they didn't pick up a receiver. That's not like the Saints. The Saints normally would grab a receiver, fourth or fifth round, maybe. I just thought that was odd, man.
Yeah,
I guess they felt as if, hey, we were gonna stay put, but I don't think so. I think I think he probably makes a move going towards like a veteran receiver, like you guys said, Keenan Allen, maybe what's his name? What's his name, man? He played for the Raiders and the Browns.
Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper. Yeah. So either one of those guys I would be satisfied with. But we have a lot of speed, but we don't have any size right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Olave, small,
speedy,
fast.
Right.
Rashid Shaheed, small, fast.
Right.
You think of Moochie that you just picked up, small, fast. Brandon Cooks, small, fast.
Right.
The only other person that me and Logan can think of that Slate could be a bigger body receiver than all of those that was on the field that we just missing was Bud Means, but I mean he's still not the biggest receiver, but he's
like you're not thinking about any goal line fade routes and things like that. Like, come on, man. That's crazy to me, man. You gotta have somebody that's at least 6'4", 6'5". Like, you gotta have somebody out there, man.
I know what it is. You know what it is? Kellen Moore is so used to being on the goal line and doing the tush push, so he's probably just gonna figure out a way to do the tush push instead of worrying about throwing a goal line pass. That's what it's gonna be. We're gonna see the Saints' first tush push. That would be cool. We was actually talking about that earlier about if Hill can get healthy, and when he gets to come back, Kellen Moore might use Taysom Hill in those tush push package. As where Jalen Hurts was playing. So we'll see. But the other thing that we was talking about that sport was, is there any position besides wide receiver and running back that we talked about on the last podcast and this podcast? Is there any other position that you say, you know what, I'm really worried about it, and I think we should address it in free agency? Is there any spots on this roster that you want to address?
Any other spots other than receiver? I would say probably. I would have to say probably the the DB room.
Okay.
That may be a concern this year. Um, like I said, we've been fortunate for the past few years, man. I'm gonna say it. We just been fortunate for like at least the past 6 7 years, just having a good DB room. Um, and I think that may be the weakness for this team. Um, Alante, I was really hoping we had re-signed Adebo. I was really hoping. I said we signed back Adebo, we'll probably be all right. But he went after the money, and that's understandable. That's you're looking for your first big contract. The Saints weren't able to match that. So shout out to him for chasing your money for your future. That's cool. Um, that's the only concern I have. I'm like, just to see. I have faith in Alante. I have faith in who's the other guy we got beside Alante. We got what's his name? Got Kool-Aid, right? Got McKinstry. I'm excited about the future with those two, but I just want to see what the young boy we just got, Riley, out of the draft. I'm curious to see what he's about. Um, and other than that, man, just being able to get depth, and I think that's what hurt us last year. Those injuries killed us, and not having at least decent depth is what actually hurt us. And had we could have had at least a good backup, right, like somebody to back these guys up, and like it really did us in with like 7 straight losses. 7 straight losses, that hurts, man. That's
Yeah.
7 straight losses will pretty much end your season. Yeah,
Well,
it will.
well,
Right.
this is what I would say. You said injuries, you said depth, all
But
right? And there's one thing I will say that the Saints did address for depth this
yeah,
season, and that's offensive line. They went and got Banks to help out on the offensive line this year, whether you're going to put,
oh
him
yeah,
at guard or put him at tackle and put
yes,
Penn in the back in guard. You went and got the guy from Tennessee. You went and got Will Clapp because the reason why I think they came back and
yeah,
got Will Clapp? He's a starting guard and he's a starting center if you need him to. He can play either one. And knowing last year how the Saints season went after
right,
losing your starting center and Erin McCoy, that whole line collapsed once they lost him because that was your
yeah,
captain, that was your Pro Bowler, that was your guy that was holding that whole line. That was your glue to the line
right,
to stay together, and he got hurt. So I think with them going to get veterans guard from Tennessee, getting another veteran like Will Claps who can play left guard or center, they just showing you right now they learned from their mistakes last year
right,
having all that bad depth. The only person that I say haven't learned from his mistakes is Mickey Loomis, still trying to cover up Derek Carr and trying to say, oh yeah, if he's healthy, he's gonna be our quarterback. Shut your ass up. Nobody likes him anymore. Nobody wants him here. So just move on because at the end of the day, they're gonna learn their lesson when they find out nobody wants to pay for the tickets and go watch them because they pissed off after the road because you keep trying to talk and trying to throw Derek Carr down their throat when they don't want him here in the first place.
yeah, man. That's situation within itself, man. That's just crazy, man. I like you already, you have a fan base, you know, Saints fans, we are a loving fan base, man. That's for sure. Anybody that knows this fan base, man, we will ride with you thick and thin. But it's like the start for Derek Carr was bad. It was just bad for him because it was the antics that came with him. It was like the line and all of the other bull crap, and him and Michael Thomas and that craziness with Olave, like him you going back and forth with your offensive lineman, like man, that stuff just piled on, and then you come with this. I'm like, bro, you just need to focus on football. You gotta have like, bro, you're getting paid. You getting paid $50 million. Who cares what anybody else is saying about you, man? Just go out and prove it on the field. This whole play, this play. Who cares? Turn your comments off, man. Turn them off. Go play football. You're $100 million over the goddamn whatever it is, and you're really caring about what people think. So I'm just over that dude, man. I'm over.
A lot of people are over it, man. And to be honest with you, um, this goes to our next question for you. What do you think of the quarterback back room. Who do you feel like is going to win this quarterback battle if Kellen Moore does play it fair? And let them say, hey, they both want to compete, even
Well,
though I've spent a
we
40th, second round competition. Who you going with? Who you choosing?
right. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. If Derek Carr is healthy, if he's healthy and he's gonna be the starting quarterback. We've already heard that already. We've heard that from Mickey Loomis. He's starting quarterback if he's healthy come week one. All right, but taking Derek Carr out of the equation, um, I'm gonna say Rattler. Rattler has a jump start already over Shuck. Uh, and I just feel rather given the opportunity to have working pieces around him, he can be just as successful as any other quarterback that is successful right now in the NFL if he has the right working pieces around him. Good offensive line doesn't have to be a great offensive line. They can be good. They can't be bad because we saw bad last year. So if he gets the right pieces around him, Rattler can be extremely serviceable for this team, man. Shuck, I don't know anything about Shuck. I've seen a bunch of highlights. I'm hearing the guy has a lot of arm talent. I've seen the arm talent. He's a really good thrower of the football. All that craziness with his age and all that to do with his 25 years old. Stop it. Y'all just cut it out. He's been in the college. He's only been in college 7 years. So what? Who cares? It's because of injuries. And, he just stayed around. He stayed around longer than most. So the age doesn't concern me. I just want to having two quarterbacks battle out and those two guys wind up being really good. That's a good problem to have. That's a damn good problem to have. So I'm just looking at it as right now. I just think Rattler has some heads up because of the playbook and things like that, and he's really showing He's showing some leadership too because when he heard about the situation with Carr, I seen him with the Instagram post and the X post with him ready to battle it out. He was ready. I wanted to see something like that. I need to see my quarterback take leadership, man. Look, I want this spot, and Rattler showed that, and that's what I like to see.
Definitely. I mean, I'm 100% with you, and I'm 100% with you on the Rattler part where he didn't get a fair shot last year. You watch who he
Yeah, he didn't.
you watch who he played with, and there's nobody. And the craziest shit to me that
Listen,
pisses me off the most is all these Saints fans that are out there saying, Rattler, you want him to win. You want him to run the team. Did you see him last year? Motherfucker, did you see who he was playing with? Even Mahomes wouldn't have been able to win the game, probably.
you got it right. You got to give Rattler the benefit of the doubt, man, because of the how the team was shaped last year. You can't say that he had a fair shot when he didn't. He didn't have a fair shot. He didn't have working pieces around him. So how can you say he's this? His evaluation was slighted. So no, man. This year he'll be with the ones. He'll work with the ones. Chuck will be able to work with the ones, and we'll see. And may the best man win. But I still feel Rattler wins the quarterback competition. I just feel he's more. I'm not going to say more polished because seeing Chuck, he is NFL ready. They're saying he's NFL ready, but I just think Rattler has enough on him.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And let me ask you this: is there anything else that's on your mind currently that you think you want to, tell us, about the Saints? Whether it was about the draft, whether it's, about any position that you're worried about, anything that you want to let us know before we get out of here.
Any position or anything like that. What I'm looking forward to this year is just seeing how Kellen Moore is with the team. Do we get someone? They're saying he's not going to be aggressive. I don't know. He hasn't been a head coach in this league. He's been a coach, an offensive coordinator. That's it. But I'm just anxious to see how he is with his team, how the guys respond to him, those type of things. That's what I'm anxious to see. I'm anxious to see how Kellen Moore has a hold and what type of it's just what type of guy he is around the team, just all around, man. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. What identity does Kellen Moore have? Does he have a lot of people saying run? He's more of a run. That's why the running game and the offensive line is so pivotal with him. And what we see, I mean, the wide receiver room. He said you like big wide receivers. We don't have any big wide receivers. we have small size wide receivers. So that's going to be something for us to figure out. So as of right now, the question mark I have right now is Kellen Moore. That's what I have.
That's the only thing I'm really worried about too. Is just what can Kellen Moore do? And Logan already talked to me a few times about this, and I was kind of hitting it at him. Is Kellen Moore the next Sean Payton? Remember, they both, started off at making an impact somewhere in the name of Dallas, and they both were really good offensive coordinators, and
there's a lot of correlation.
They're both good with quarterbacks. He
some
made
similarities,
Cooper Rush look good. He made Cooper Rush look good.
Man,
made Kenny Pickett look good. He made Dak Prescott look better than what he normally looks. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how this works out.
Yeah. We shall see. We shall see, man.
Yes, sir. But
I'm ready. I'm just ready, man. I'm ready.
That's it. That's everybody. We all ready to see what Kellen Moore. I mean, to be honest with you, this first preseason game might be the most funnest game to watch because it's going to be a competition between Tyler Sucks and Rattler. So that's going to be the two quarterbacks to watch out for and figure out who's playing better in preseason. So that's what I'm really ready for. I'm ready to see what Kellen Moore draws up. And like everybody always says, we're always ready to look for preseason before we can kind of pick out and see what we like. But at the end of the day, preseason is preseasons. Just like Kubiak and them did last year to us in preseason, they didn't show you the shit that we was actually going to run during the regular season because we was watching some of the preseason like what the heck are we even calling it? But soon as we got the season started, we were scoring 50 points on everybody until some injuries, got into the, but
yeah, man. But it's crazy, right? It's crazy because you have. Let me ask you guys a quick question. What do you guys feel about the rankings?
Oh, you talking about them ranking us?
Yeah, they ranked us 32nd today, and honestly, I don't really give a damn about rankings because half the time
I didn't understand that. I couldn't understand that, man.
I mean, half the time these guys are just.
I just feel like certain things are biased with us at times.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if they want to rank us 32nd, that's fine. I mean, I think
31st, fine.
Whatever. I think last year going into the season, they ranked the Commanders, I think, last, and they went to the NFC Championship with Jay Daniels as a rookie. So,
right.
As much as I would love to be in these guys' shoes, working for CBS Sports and all this other stuff, I mean, some of the time they don't really know what the heck they're talking about. I can honestly say that. So,
listen, it's low hanging fruit. It's low hanging fruit with this team. Right. It's low hanging fruit with this team. It's salary cap issues. It's situation with Derek Carr right now. It's a bunch of things you can just pick, but not really dissect the team. That's how I feel with a lot of these analysts at times when they go and put their rankings in because I couldn't understand 31st. Look, I get it. Bottom 20, that's cool. 25th, 26th, but 31st, no. Nah, I couldn't understand that.
Yeah, the one team
so
I was
you
shocked
telling
that
me
the
me that the Patriots were better than the Saints. That's what you're telling me.
Don't know. I don't think so. I mean, to be honest with you, the one thing that I was shocked the most about the rankings, like you said, was number 31 or 32. The fact that you got us ranked that low with a coach that just it is his first year as a head coach, but he's been proven as an offensive coordinator that he's very talented with no matter who he's got there, and he just brought the Eagles to the Super Bowl with this offense. And you're telling me he's gonna just come in here and just be the worst team ever? I don't know. It just don't make no sense to me, But then again, they could be looking at it as maybe watch this. I bet you a lot of these people are going to be on here. Oh, we would have y'all in the top 20, bottom mid 20s if you had Carr, but these other two quarterbacks, I just don't know. Rattlers 0-6 with y'all last year. Tyler sucks. I don't know if I believe in him. But if you had Carr, I would have had y'all like mid 20s. I bet you that's the bullshit they would say on this on them rankings. But I don't care, man. I'm just ready for it. And at the end of the day, if you rank us at 31, 32, who gives a freaking damn? You know why? Hey, that means we'll have a top 2 pick next year, and guess what that means? We'll get the best player available that's going to help us since day one, because we already know they already told Kellen Moore they're going to give him a couple years to rebuild first before they actually start even looking at him, because they know he came into a dumpster, place over here that's trashed. And I think next year is the first year that we're finally going to have positive, salary, not negative.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting year. I mean, I know it's not going to be the prettiest, but, it's been a long time coming. It really has. And I'm ready for the youth movement. I'm ready for the rebuild, because we didn't have a plan after Drew retired. We really didn't. I mean, they put all their eggs into Jameis Winston's basket, and it did not work out. Then they tried Andy Dalton. It did not work. And the rebuild is here, so I'm happy with that. But before we go, can I make a shameless plug really quick before we get out of here?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't know this, but I actually wrote and self-published on Amazon a murder mystery book. It's only 80 something pages, and I loosely based the main character on myself. And when I was in a relationship with my ex, who I'm no longer with, I based the love interest on her. But it's a murder mystery thriller. I mean, if you watched any of these shows, like I used to watch the Rockford Files with my dad when I was growing up, or Psych, or Monk, any of that. Just a shameless plug. It's called The Last Broadcast, loosely based on somewhat factual events. Not out here murdering people, by the way, but it's a really interesting book. I can't believe I actually wrote a book. Go check it out if you're a book reader or a crime drama type of person. Just wanted to plug that.
Okay, I like it. The other thing is, we need a book written by you, man, on how to get Mickey Loomis out the building. If you can write that for me, I would truly appreciate you. Or matter of fact, write a book on how will the Saints finally get back to the good old days of the Peyton and Breeze era. How do you get back to that? That would be another book to write.
I don't think I could write that one. That would take forever.
It would be like the big freaking dictionary book trying to figure out how to get back to where we need to be, huh?
It'd be as long as the Holy Bible. That's how long it would be.
Well, let me tell you how we get there. What happened is you trade with the Bengals for Joe Burrow. You get Jamar Chase's buddy to come play with you as well. You trade with the Cowboys, get Michael Parsons in here. You trade and get you a nice good corner, and you should be all set and ready to go to win. How about that? That sounds good?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds as perfect as me going to drive my golden Ferrari out to work tomorrow.
Hey, well, if you do need a vehicle, we do have a golden color 2005 Ford Thunderbird that got traded in recently, and it's crazy. They got literally a 2005 Ford Thunderbird, like a gold looking color, and they only 70,000 miles on it, and they saying that sucker's worth like 13,000 still, which is crazy. It's like that's how much they asking for it. And I wouldn't think it would be worth that much because it's so damn old. But then again, I thought of the name Thunderbirds, and they used to make all these fancier looking cars back in the day. So anybody's looking for a gold 2005 Ford Thunderbird, come see you, boy. They got it for sale out there. But at the end of the day, Logan, I just want to thank everybody that came, and tuned in tonight, whether you were from Facebook, Twitter, or from YouTube. So shout out to all of y'all watching. If you're on the Twitter side, hit the follow button, follow me, hit the like button on it as well, and repost that, this live to where other people can, watch our lives and rewatch it. It'll be on there. Anybody on Facebook, y'all follow me already, so just hit the damn like button for me, and share it out to for anybody that might not be watching it right now. And also, if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button to become a new subscriber to the channel. Also, hit the like button as well and share this live out as well with anybody who may be a Saints fan. And also, I mentioned it earlier, you can become a member. Like I said, cheap as 99 cents per month or $4.99 at the most. If you want to become a member and support the channel today. But thank you for everybody that came on. Hurricane Mike, That Sports Talk came on as well. So shout out to everybody that came on. Everybody in the chat. Thank y'all for coming. Thanks Scoob one more time for the $30 super chat. He donated earlier, so shout out to him being a real one and donating that as well. And let's all thank Mr. Logan again for coming on. Like always, like I said, he's my part-time co-host until I lose him to somebody legit, unless I become more legit before they do, and take you. But at the end of the day, thank everybody again. Make sure, again, like I said, hit that sub button on your way out. And like I always tell everybody, if you are looking for a vehicle, whether you're trying to buy one new, whether you're trying to replace your other one and trade one in to get one, or you're just looking to sell your car, call your boy Hoodie, and I'll make sure I'll hook y'all up with a great deal. But with that being said, we'll be live again probably in the next day or two. We talked about receivers and running back, so maybe next time, instead of talking about just position, let's talk about defense to see if there's anybody we can add, because there's a lot of defensive players that are still good that we can add. And we'll talk about that on the next podcast as well. So everybody, hope y'all have a great night, and we'll see y'all in a few nights. Probably, like I said, about a day or two, we should be back live talking about that. And Logan, we always tell everybody, who what? Who what?
That?
Who that, baby? And we'll see y'all soon. Let's get it.
Run it up, Valero. Say what and lie. Say what and lie. Say what and lie. Say what and lie. We screaming black and gold. We screaming black and gold. We screaming black and gold. We going to the bowl. We screaming black and gold. We screaming black and gold. We screaming black and gold. Saints going to the Super Bowl, talking black and gold. Young Nolan Hoodie Jew wanna beat me like Chris Olave, MT down the field.